coffee I made is, I usually make coffee for one.
Okay.
I'm okay. Usually I'm by myself when I make coffee. Yeah. So my ratios were new, right?
Okay.
So I can't tell because I put a lot of ice in mine. I think it's a little watered down.
That's good. Because I had some morning coffee that was strong, so half calf works. Oh, Bill Lawrence.
Yeah, he just came out. It's uploading right now. Small world.
I know, right? Our origin story is one of my favorite.
Let me frame you up right quick.
In gearing up this, I've just gotten increasingly more excited to talk to you because for someone who I've known for what blew my mind when I realized over 5 years.
Yeah, probably 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah, let's make sure this is going though. Hello.
Hello? Hello.
Yeah, it's a little loud, right?
A little loud.
Also, we're not. Oh, I know what that is. I'm experimenting with picking up some extra room sound.
Ooh,
How's this?
that sounds nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We can't cover that face, and you know that better than anybody. So let's. Let me flip the screen so you can see yourself.
Terrific.
Oh, it's good.
I wore glasses so that halfway through we could do a dramatic she's all that reveal where I take them off and you realize that I've actually been handsome the whole time.
Okay. Well.
That's actually not true. It's because I'm losing my vision.
Yes. Also,
Is it necessary? Because I sort of have a bit of my own.
I figured that you could.
Oh, but you're right for the reveal.
When you reveal it,
Rick,
yeah.
You get it, dude. Scoot doo, blabbity blue, scoop dee. Oh yeah!
Well, there's a little device that we have here on Take Your Shoes Off. Where we do that.
Wow, we're back.
Well, you have to have the mustache on.
Oh, sorry. It's
okay.
You can even hear it.
Yeah.
What is that new thing called that we're like it's
MSRP.
MSRP.
No, that's retail prices. AARP.
Yeah, no, it's AAA.
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 No, what is it? It's MSR.
It's that Bud Light commercial from the Super Bowl.
I gotta know what it is.
Do it. This will make for a good podcast.
What's the acronym for when people chew loud?
There's no way that can work. Here's what it is.
I don't know.
Or it could just be, it's right, it's this.
Yeah, we'll be putting it in there.
There it is, bottom of the screen maybe.
People, they like,
Yeah.
Dude, I remember you being better looking.
It was 7 years ago. I peaked. All right? I'm trying real hard.
Wait a minute.
My mustache has fallen off.
I thought we just spent the first couple of minutes setting up so you could take off your mustache and glasses and be good looking.
It's not my fault you bought cheap mustache adhesive.
I'm hot. I gotta put the AC on. You're right.
Unbelievable. I love all of the fighters from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on your wall.
Those aren't in frame, so we can't talk about it.
Oh,
okay,
shit.
Learn the rules of podcasting.
It's just ironic that next to a Monet, all I'm looking at are the Tyson Punch-Out pictures.
I want you to know that I actually have very expensive mustache tape for my good mustaches, but I'm running low on the mustaches right now. So I have these cheap mustaches that already have this cheap adhesive to it, and I gave it to you for a cheap bit that was executed even more cheap.
Yeah.
But people, I need you to know that I have good mustache tape.
Thank God.
Yeah. Thank Taryn Killam, actually, because I was spending $5. I use mustaches constantly, and I was spending on weekends. I got $20 to $30 budget on mustaches alone because it's $5 per stash.
That's a lot. Is it worth it? Do you find, do the people in the comment section say, that was a good use of $30?
Why don't we find out? What do you guys think? If you think it's worth spending $30 a weekend on mustaches, comment yes below. If you don't, then head on over to rickglassman.com and you buy yourself a sweatshirt.
Why don't we just save ourselves the time, and it's going to end up being your mom and your grandma going, we love them.
I'm not always right.
Really?
But
around me, you're batting 1,000.
Do you mean that? How many times have we met in 7 years? I could remember 3.
Me too. And by the way, 2 of the 3, I realized that our backstory, our origin story, for me, is steeped in humiliation.
Really?
Well, humility, but like I can laugh at it. But I realized, oof, that's a lot of me. Yeah, better? Yes, that all of them, it's perfect for you being a comedian buddy, that like all of my memories of us are hilarious because they're painful.
Yeah.
Like, so
That's
we met, it's not a bad thing, but that's one reason I was excited to talk to you. Is I was like, how many people do I know that almost like the 3 times we've hung out in 7 years, there's a really funny story with each of them?
So the first time we met was my first, before my first job, testing for Undateable. Mm-hmm. You, Brent, and I went in, and you look like that and work, and we don't look like that and don't work, and for whatever reason we all became friends. Mm-hmm. In that second, in that moment, we were all in on something together, and we knew that you were going to get it and we wanted to get it, and then you didn't get it, and then now I'm rich and you're poor.
Yeah, I'm here doing a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
On a Monday because I don't have a job.
Yeah. Do you not have a job?
No.
Really?
At the moment, no. I say at the moment like I haven't been unemployed since July.
Oh, just since July. Saying that you've been unemployed since July, as it's a long time, is like when people say, "Oh, I haven't had sex in like 3 weeks." It's like, okay.
True. So this last year for me was hands down the hardest of my career. So, and this is getting ahead of ourselves, but like it was the slowest year for me work-wise. And while I know that's the norm, it hadn't been my norm. Uh-huh. So it was like a real adjustment process. I hear what you're saying, because you're right. It's the norm for us. It's the circus. Like we get called once a year and that's normal.
I haven't worked since I met you when I got that job.
That's not true. I know that. But hold on. So I remember our screen test. Mm-hmm. And I remember, for some reason, like I immediately gravitated towards you and Brent. Like I just sort of felt like I like these guys already. And my first impression of you was, so you walk into a room and you're like, you're just kind of sussing everybody out. And you're
What do you mean, like sussing out the competition?
No, not even sussing out the Well, no, just kind of getting a read on it. Like, do they seem comfortable? Do they are they doing the nervous, saying their lines? Are they trying to get in other people's way? Like, just what's going on, And your vibe was so funny because the first thing I remember you doing was going, I think I'm going to FaceTime my parents when I walk in the room. And it's a screen test where there's a whole bunch of executives. And I had like...
It was my first time at Warner Brothers.
Yes. And it was a great introduction to you because it was like equal parts, oh my God, don't do that. That's so uncomfortable and scary and potentially just problematic and could blow up in your face. And the other part of me that's like, 100% go for that. That's nuts. And you actually did it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's actually, and you had the phone. You walked in and you were like, hey, Mom, Dad. And then they couldn't connect though.
No, we did. We didn't, and then we did. The first time I couldn't, because I was connecting beforehand to warn them that I was about to do this, and then I wasn't able to do it until I was with everybody. So everybody was meeting everybody for the first time, and for whatever reason, it worked. But my instincts were, I'm in Warner Brothers, like I'm testing. I've heard about testing. I don't know what this is. Like I have a number. I know how much money I'll be making. And this is like, there's a contract, and I wanted to show I legitimately wanted to show my parents all the posters they do all these things here.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, do it. That's funny. It wasn't like I wanted to do it as a gag. I wanted to do it and didn't find a reason not to. Mm-hmm. And then it was Peter Roth, I remember, met my dad, who is, what is he, the president of Warner Brothers Television or something?
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly what he is.
And no disrespect, Peter, if you're watching, and I know you watch most of these. I wasn't sure if it was president or like king of it or whatever.
Might as well be king, Peter.
Yeah.
You're king to us.
And he has a kind of like paternal vibe about him.
100%.
And he's just like, he likes it. And he met my family. You know what I mean? So now when I'm going in, this was in the hallway. So when I go in for the audition, I'm already feeling like I just did a huge, like, I'm going to make some choices. You know what I mean? They've already approved of choices. So I had some headshots with some headshot gags and blah, blah, blah. But
Like a Tobias Funke headshot pose? Like,
I have, it's on my, that headshot, it's up there. I don't know if you could see it. I'll put it up on the YouTube. It's a
yes,
David
now I'm
Schwimmer
familiar
headshot.
with, yes, I'm familiar with this.
And I wrote little messages like, you know, me plus Bill Lawrence equals $signs or whatever it was. But that was my first experience testing, and I have since had some tests, and I've always been comfortable in them now because I guess I didn't get the opposite could have been if there was trauma from that first test. But I always felt like, oh, just go in and play.
I think it's a bold move, and I think it worked for you because you weren't doing like a bit at their expense, and it was because I think
Great
they picked up that
observation.
it was endearing, because I think that's a very polarizing thing. If you walk in and they think, oh, this guy's doing a bit, or like it's sort of
Well, I
the
was.
laughs on them. Yeah, but it was an endearing bit where it was actually like, this is my family and I'm excited. And
Yeah.
if they had any backstory on you, they knew it was your first screen test, so it actually was a thing. Like there's an in for them to go, yeah, that's cute.
I found that with comedy that why is this funny? Because when people, a lot of times when an audience doesn't think it's funny, maybe I'm crazy, but they're wrong. But obviously there's a lost in translation here. And what I have found, and maybe that was lucky then because that wasn't a conscious choice back then, was if the joke that I'm doing is true, heighten it all you want to make it funny. But if it's rooted in some type of honesty and truth, and that joke is, I'm sharing with my family. So the joke is, like you said, it's not at their expense. The joke is sharing with family. Of course, it's a heightened, is now the time to do it. But when you go down to it, what's the intention? And it was something kind, something nice, something not at their expense. And I learned that only a couple of years ago, which is an interesting observation that you made. When you're going to take big swings, if you're nice, then
Absolutely.
worst case scenario, it's not funny. You're not going to bother anybody.
Yeah, and it was inclusive. It wasn't exclusive. So it was something that everyone could be a part of, as opposed to like, you know, if you were doing a bit where you're like, you're telling your mom, you know, she's folding your laundry wrong, and they're like, cool, we'll wait.
Right.
That's
You're just
funny.
wasting our time.
Yeah, exactly. It's also like, haven't you found you can be way more insulting to someone if you smile while you're doing it?
Give me an example.
Like, I remember being in high school and going to the frozen yogurt place with my buddies, and the girl was, I don't know whether she was sassy or just really just not giving any effort at all. And I made some comment that was pretty rude. That was something to the effect of like, I am so surprised that McDonald's fired you with such a glowing and warm personality. But I said it like cheerfully and with a smile, you know, kind of like I'm busting your balls, but I'm also pointing out the fact that what's going on right now. And she kind of just giggled. And my buddy was like, what is that? Why did he just insulted you to your face? Why are you laughing? And that was the first moment I was like, you can get away with more if you sort of just put a little cheer behind it.
You could get away with more if you put a little cheer
no.
behind it. That's not a rule. Your buddy, may I assume, and you know, wink.
Hideously ugly.
He's not a
Hideously
good-
ugly.
he's not- right.
He's an affront to the eye. And you know it, Ryan.
There it is. And there's the difference. Shout out to Ryan. I'll put his Instagram handle. Right
Yeah.
here.
Ugly Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. Good-looking Rob could say, "Hey, what'd you get fired from McDonald's? You fucking coos." And she's gonna laugh, and she's gonna say, "No, but here's some free frozen yogurt." And then she's gonna, I don't want to. You're gonna have to edit this part out. Then she's gonna want to touch your dick.
Do girls do that?
No. You get edited back in now.
Pulling a Joel McHale.
Oh, what is the Joel McHale?
Well, no, he's the good-looking guy who, you know, he can get away with stuff because he's handsome.
We'll cut to a clip.
And we're back. I love that episode with Joel.
Thank you. What you guys didn't see was in between the snaps, I asked him to snap and say, "And we're back," and he said no.
I like to feel like it's my choice.
You're a little ball busting in you.
I'm a bit of a Taurus,
And
that's no bull.
Is Joel McHale do you like that career that he has? Is that something that you would see yourself as? Because I could see you as a Joel McHale.
I do. And I actually got to work with Joel on a show called Dimension 404. And it was so cool working with him, but I had that moment. You know, there's different people, and I'm sure you've had it because you've worked with some amazing people, where like the first take, we're not really participating. You're just in your head going, what is happening? At least I've had that where I'm working with someone like Steven Weber, and I was just the whole first take I was going, Wings, what?
You're
and
a big Wings fan.
I was a big Wings fan. And so with Joel, it's like, yeah, from The Soup and Community, it was just cool being like, hey man, my life is so weird and so fun. Like, we get to play pretend with people that
What is it like for you when you work with somebody that you don't know personally, but that you do like, where you want to compliment them, but do you do it? Do you feel like you have to wait?
Are we working together, or do I just like see him at something?
Working together.
I don't think I lead with that. I usually say like, really, really happy you're here. I'm really excited, that we get to have you here. I'm really excited to get to be doing this with you.
I guess what I'm asking is, there's a strat, because you even said there's a difference. If you run into him at a farmer's market, then what, you would say huge fan?
Yeah, I saw Danny McBride at a premiere, and normally I don't like to bother people, but it was like just after like Pineapple Express. It was actually at a premiere of Pineapple Express, and I told my buddy, I was like, I just got to go tell this guy how much I just appreciate him, and or I saw like the two women from Broad City. I saw them at Swingers. And I was like, hey, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say you've made my television so much fun again.
Why do you want to say that? Do you want to say that so they know it? Do you want to have a moment where you get to connect with them?
I want to share my gratitude for them and my appreciation for them.
Really?
Yeah, it's not, I don't need anything from it. I just want to say, like, you've brought joy to my life. So thank you.
And how do you think they receive it? How do you receive it?
Well, when someone says that to me, it makes me feel great that someone's going to take a moment out of their day. They're going to spend their time and energy just to say, hey, I like that thing you do. It's like, oh,
but you weren't in that.
Huh?
But you weren't. Were you in that?
Which one?
That thing you do?
Well, I was close. It was kind of a Bill Lawrence screen test situation.
Which we still haven't gotten to.
I brought my FaceTime into the screen test, and Tom Hanks thought that was bullshit.
Sure.
So it didn't go my way. But yes, like when someone does that, I appreciate it. So occasionally I'll just, if it seems appropriate, I'll just take a moment to say like, hey, really like what you do.
I got a comment on this podcast last night, and I was with my girlfriend, and it was something where it was there were three sentences, and each sentence was a completely different day. It was, first one was some type of compliment. Hey man, you're funny, or whatever. Mm-hmm. The second one was him telling me how hard of a time. I've been having a rough go. Mm-hmm. And some stuff. It's like, oh my God. And then the next one was, thank you so much for, you helped me through blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So my instinct was, I don't want to touch this, because what do I say? Thanks? Mm-hmm. Because you can't say thanks to, that's like saying, hey man, you're a really nice, good looking, funny guy. And I'm really having a hard time, man. And you go, thanks. You have to acknowledge all of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to acknowledge, like, what do I say? Hope you're better? Because that's a weird one for me, because what does that mean? What is that going to do for you? I don't know how to acknowledge it. And then the third one, which I didn't know what to do, was, you help me.
Yeah.
And I said to Betty, what do you, I didn't, I believe you laughed. I didn't help. And this isn't me so many words to get it to across this. This is why I don't want to respond to some of these. Mm-hmm. I didn't help this person. I was the distraction that could have been watching an episode of Golden Girls, which you didn't pick. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say you're welcome, because the thank you was directed wrong. Mm-hmm. I also don't want to, I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to pretend that what am I going to recommend my therapist? Also, feel better. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? Point being, when someone says that stuff to me, it makes me just, what do you want from me? Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you like it, but what do you want from me? And that's in a comment. If someone comes up to me, I just have to tell you how you made my television better. I'm thinking, no, I guess I had to say thanks.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'd also disagree when you said, like, you're not the thing that made him happy. Like, why not? Even if you are just that distraction, you were that distraction. You were something
Yes.
that you were a brief reprieve for them.
But to say, I feel like I need to. You're welcome is a contract to me.
Sure, and you're also not trying to take the credit for like, yes, you're welcome for fixing your problems. That was an intention. It's it's a tricky thing to walk into. It's also it's funny the way a stranger will come up and talk to someone that they've seen on the television, because I think sometimes a lot of things happen. Like maybe they get nervous, they're caught off guard, so in the process, like boundaries fall away. And sometimes just stuff comes out, because sometimes you'll get an overshare where it is like someone wanting to connect with you, but in the process, like they will tell you something incredibly personal, like, I was having a hard time cutting myself, and then I saw you on that episode of Undateable, and
My question for that is, are you saying you were cutting yourself poorly, or you were having a hard time, and during that hard time you were cutting yourself?
Well, clearly they have self-esteem issues, so they were obviously cutting themselves poorly, but they were cutting as well.
Right.
But it is that tricky thing. Like, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad that the show was able to help you feel a little better.
I appreciate you saying that's a good one.
Yeah, because that's just acknowleding, like,
But is
nice.
that saying, because it's all piled in? I appreciate you saying that you're funny. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But am I also saying I appreciate you saying that you've been having a hard time cutting yourself? What am I appreciating?
Well, I think also just in the way that you respond, if you're glib and flip about it, then there's room for them to go, ooh, was he making fun of that? But I think if you just saying like, hey, thank you so much, I'm really sorry that you went through a tough time, or that that you were going through a tough time, like it's not on you to respond like brilliantly or eloquently. I think it's just a matter of just saying like, I heard what you just said, thank you. Like it's kind of that thing where I don't know about you, growing up, I suck at compliments. Self-deprecation is like...
You mean receiving them?
I suck at receiving them, yeah.
You were a big boy.
I was chubby as... what's fucked up is I really wasn't that chubby as a kid. I've gone back and looked at pictures. I just got bullied for it.
Oh.
I wasn't even Jerry O'Connell in...
that thing you do.
What was the one before that thing you do? Stand By Me. Like, I wasn't even like a fat kid. I was just like a little chubby, like a kid is. But I got teased for it. So then in my head, it became this big thing. But
how old were you when you like got and looking like this?
I mean, I hit puberty late for sure.
What, like 20?
Yeah, like I remember I studied abroad my junior year of university, and when I came back, I remember that being the first time where like I remember a girl saying in my econ class, "Oh, the girls in the sorority call you Hot Rob," and that was the first time being like, "Oh." So
that's like 20 years old, right?
20, 21, 22. So I was very
And you did
late.
magic?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you did magic tricks, you were a little bigger, people were making fun of you.
I did all the things you could do to get laid at the worst possible age. I was a magician. I played Dungeons and Dragons, Pogs, video games. Yeah, I was like, give me all the awkwardness on top of the awkwardness.
So you were saying that made it hard for you to receive compliments?
Yes, what I'm saying, yeah.
Because you didn't believe them.
Yeah, until I eventually had someone point out to me, like in my 30s, hey, it's kind of rude when someone compliments you to not acknowledge it. Because it would just be like, hey, you're good looking, for a piece of shit, whatever it is. Like it's sort of like someone took the time to say something nice to you, and you didn't even take the time to go, hey, thanks. Like I had to put it down immediately, because God forbid anyone thought I believed it. Because I certainly didn't believe it.
Yeah.
You can tell we're two guys who've been doing some work in therapy, huh?
I can. I made that decision with stand-up when people would say nice set, and if somebody tells me nice set the next day, it's like, oh, you were thinking about it, appreciate it. But if we just walk by each other, maybe they felt they had to say something, and I used to feel like, no, it's okay. And then I realized it doesn't matter. Just say thanks. Where it gets muddy for me is the compliment with that overshare thing, which I'm willing to listen to, but I can't respond to both of them with one response.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for liking me. I'm so sorry about the cutting problem.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I also, one of my favorites is like, because I love a healthy ego deflation.
An HED?
And
The head.
And head, yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
You love
so
head.
I had this happen recently, and it made me laugh so hard. I'm I'm traveling. I'm in the airport, and I'm checking out at the thing, and the woman goes, "Hey, are you Robert Buckley? Are you from Montreal?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am." And she was like, "Oh my God, love the show. Oh, thank you so much. Are you still acting?" It's like, yeah, What are you on right now?
Do you have your ego attached to, because we skip past that. You're so used to working that when you're not working, do you feel a sense of shame to that?
I did. Like this last year was, it was a real year. Like I wanted to grow personally. I was like personal growth 2019. And it was kind of one of those ones where it's like, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. It's like the kid in the movies.
What
like,
made you want growth all of a sudden? Did something happen?
No, but like at 35, I realized like, hey, I want, there's certain things I want to be in life. Like I want to be able to be a good dad. I want to be like an emotionally available man and also I just want to be happy. Like I want to be able to enjoy my life. And so I realized like, oh, I probably need to look inwards, like do some work in therapy and stuff. But I was like, all right, I'm going to do some growing in 2019. And then, like I said, it's like the kid in the movie is like, I want to get rich. And then his parents die and he inherits all this money. And he's like, oh, this isn't how I wanted to get rich.
What movie is that?
Have you not seen The Thing You Do? It's a great cautionary tale.
That's a close Richie Rich, but they were just stuck up in the mountain.
Yeah.
But
there's no real consequence.
But I know what you're saying. Home Alone, they didn't die, they disappeared.
Yeah. So, I wrapped iZombie in January, and then...
January of 2019.
Of 2019.
Not knowing if it's coming back.
No, we knew. Fifth and final.
Fifth and final.
So I was like, okay, great, we wrapped it up.
Fifth and final sounds like a place that you could buy things like for your yard.
If it was between Smart and Final and Fifth and Final, where would you shop?
I mean, Smart and Final.
Really? For the same reason you buy Smart Water?
Yeah.
Because you want to feel good about yourself?
The electrolytes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I worked one job like the month of like June, and then that was it for the whole year. And it was interesting because it was funny around that time, vulnerable confession, while Rick gets distracted by a butterfly. No, you good?
Before podcasts, almost always I tell my guest, because I am a one-man show here, every 10 or 15 minutes you'll see me just making sure that the cameras are still on and it's recording. And I say that so you don't feel distracted, so you know what's happening. And I knew I didn't say it, and I wanted to check like a minute ago, but I didn't because I didn't want to. I wanted to wait at least for a beat, and there was a beat, so I looked, and that was worth me telling you that. But it will probably happen a couple more times because sometimes one of the cameras shuts off, and sucks.
Working harder than a single mom out here. Look at you.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
It's
I'm
a
gonna
big
say
compliment.
thank you.
It's a big compliment.
Being a single mom used to be considered the hardest job. Try running a podcast with 3 cameras, hot guy guests who's talking about how they need to have their ego deflated. Anyway.
You need to take that cause to social media because people will get behind it.
No one's going to see it.
I know. No one cares anymore.
There's too many causes.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Yes, you reached out to me to be on the podcast.
No, but we didn't finish. That's not where we were.
We're talking about the year being slow. This is going to be a mess, either to cut together or to listen to.
At this point,
it's not going to air.
This is going to be just for the Patreon.
Which is a bummer. People paid extra for this.
I don't even have a Patreon. I'm going to start a Patreon because I have to put this out somewhere.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I do think... Well, hold on one second. I do think I'm going to start a Patreon.
Why? Because daddy needs some passive income. Passive income stream.
People have been reaching out for sign up for do the Patreon. We want to do people have been saying they want to sign up for my Patreon, and I'm like, I don't have a Patreon. I don't want to come up with new stuff. Mm-hmm. But enough people have been doing it, and I mean, it seems like it's the game. Mm-hmm. You're real against Patreon, huh?
I'm not against it. It's
weird.
It's weird.
100%. I set up the Patreon 2 months ago after not wanting to do it because it's weird. I set up, was ready. I'm like, no, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is too weird. I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Had a conversation with someone last night about it. Been rethinking about it. I made a joke with you. Here we are.
Yeah.
Go.
It's not a judgment thing. It's
a judgment thing.
It's a big judgment thing. Mm-hmm. Shame on all of you who do it. I think also I only found out about Patreon from like women, like models on the internet who had a Patreon and then would like send stuff and have like a wish list on Amazon. And so that was my introduction to Patreon. So
Are you you're in a relationship?
I'm married.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. How long have you been married?
Coming up on 2 years.
Okay, so here's the deal. Congratulations.
Thank you. A little
Or
late
in
in the
order.
podcast, but thanks.
I know when people get their hair cut, even if I haven't seen them in a while. Nice haircut, by the way.
Thank you.
And I always notice a ring, especially on a guy. So shame on me. I'm sorry.
So it's a good look on a guy, isn't it?
It is.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a good look on a guy. But your introduction to Patreon with these models, with these people,
Yes.
it makes me feel like it was a recent thing. Why would you be seeing that if you're married? Not that there's anything wrong with looking at models when you're married. Trust me. But that's where I am.
Wasn't a recent thing, but yeah, it's the whole like asking people for money. It's fine. It's just because since that's not what I've come from. To me, it's like, oh, that would.
What about doing a movie?
You're right. You're asking. I guess it's a little different, and because that was already established. Like that's all I've ever known is people pay to go see a movie. But then it would, like my whole relationship with social media this year has been weird. Like just reevaluating it and realizing like, what is my relationship with it? Because it was that same thing, like in not working, realizing like, oh, a big part of my identity and my esteem was tied to I'm a working actor. And it's like, okay, well that can't be it. So
You grew up in California.
Yeah.
You were working since when?
Since like for about 11 years. Like I started and I hustled for about a year and a half, and then I got my first show, and then from there I stayed
What
pretty
Tree Hill
busy.
was your first show?
No. It was a nighttime soap opera called Fashion House on the old My Network, the now defunct My Network.
Cut to a clip.
You look great.
You're sweet.
Mom? The hell's going on?
Could you please, I know you won't, but could we pretend like we cut to the clip of when I kissed Bo Derek? It was my first on-screen kiss.
That's what we put up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Didn't you love that clip of me kissing Bo Derek?
That's nuts. What were you, 23?
30, but I've aged well. I'm 51.
You have aged fantastic.
Thank
But
you.
I don't want to get too far off track because I want you to talk about the social media. You realize your identity as working.
Yeah. Also, we have left the part about us screen testing together because
We'll get to it. Anyone who watches this podcast knows that and I'd say every third or fourth episode, something comes up that people are interested in hearing. We tee it up at the beginning, and then we say at the end, we never got to it, but we'll have you back.
Ooh.
So they know it's not coming.
Okay.
So don't worry.
I was excited to talk about it, but I guess
Will you come back?
sure.
Tell you what, when this wraps up, why don't we keep talking? And if you guys want to hear it, you head on over to my Patreon. It'll be exclusively there.
Platinum members.
For $100 a month, it gets a sweatshirt, and you get to hear about the screen testing.
You should just lean into it and do the thing. Like be like, for my Patreon Platinum members, I will give you a shirt I wore to the gym.
Yeah, but it's another issue. I haven't worked out in a year.
Oh, how is it your shoulder?
Yeah, I had surgery over a year ago now, and I've been having some issues. Although the past few weeks, I actually want to get it right. So hold on one second. Edit this out. I want to plug this. Glassman Boppers, I'm excited to say that we did it. We secured some advertising. For the idiots out there that don't know what Bitcoin is, I advise you put on a hat and get out of your bubble because it's the future, baby. That was good. I started investing in a cryptocurrency early 2016, and for better or worse, I have almost all of my money invested into it. I have to admit, I've spent a lot of time on it. There is a very large learning curve. But did you know that Bitcoin ATMs are the preferred way to purchase Bitcoin with cash? Excuse me. Now that we're talking about cash, I could avoid the anonymity issues, and I could reveal my real face. Ooh, I like that transition. TheCoinBros.com have Bitcoin ATMs all throughout the country and offer instant buys with 24-hour customer service through email or phone. At TheCoinBros.com, you could purchase Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies. Buying Bitcoin doesn't have to be intimidating. The Coin Bros Bitcoin ATMs are here to help. I've been seeing a chiropractor, and he has a new Instagram, and I wanted to put it up. It's you got to change your Instagram. It's DRJT _ functional CHIRO. It's too long, right?
Dr. JT _ functional Chiro.
Yeah, Jamar Townsend, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But the Instagram, I'll put it up here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm sorry if I'm calling out your Instagram, if that's... I assure you, the convenience of his adjustments are way more than searching to find him on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I had surgery, I did PRP injection, I did stem cell injection, I did 3 different cases of physical therapy, not including the one I did after my surgery, over the past decade. And I've been having problems. I'm not fixed, but I've been going for not even a month now, and it's just, I feel it's working. And I've never found something that worked before. So I would love to get back in the gym soon, and I could maybe sell these shirts. But thank you so much for your chiropractics. And you guys head on over, check out that Instagram, like, follow, buy one of my sweatshirts.
Dr. JT _ functional Chiro. Easy to remember.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
That was good.
Thanks.
It is. It's DR, though, not doctor.
People know.
I'm talking too fast. Your demeanor is so easy that because I'm watching me next to you now, because I know I'm going to be doing this at a computer, and I'm seeing myself sitting at the computer going, fucking chill out, Rick. So I'm sorry for you guys. The second half of this, I'm going to be calmer. And if you head on over to the Patreon, I'm going to just slow all that first part down. I wonder if it's because I don't know. I must be really excited right now.
You know, it's no bullshit. I was very excited to sit down and talk with you. Can I you know what? I'm not going to wait till next episode. I need to finish the story.
Okay.
I need because we do the screen test. You go in, you do your thing. Brent goes in, does his thing. New fast friends. We're all like,
We all by the
wanna
way
go-
auditioned for 3 different roles.
For 3
so we
different
weren't
roles.
competing with each other.
Right. And we're like, let's all go eat together. That sounds great. And so
Yeah.
we go down Ventura.
Brent didn't go.
I thought he did.
I'm
Did you have to
positive.
work at Conan? Because I think he was doing Conan then, wasn't he?
Maybe.
Okay, he had something.
But I know he didn't go.
Okay, then
we
it
went
was,
to Stoutburger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while we were at the table, you got a call
From Bill.
that you got it and Brent got it, and then you hung up, and then my phone didn't ring.
It was I asked. I remember it very, very specifically because I'm right next to you, and I'm not going to not answer the phone.
Yeah,
I want to
obviously.
know, but also it's a weird situation. So, but I did. I said he just said that I got it. I said, did anybody else get it? Because Brent, you. I don't want to say any name in particular, and he said Brent did, but nobody else that auditioned got it. And I went, oh, okay. And then I'm in a position now of informing you. And hey, man, I just found out I got it. You were so excited for me, and then I said that you didn't get it, and you bought me my meal. And I remember, it didn't make sense to me because you were congratulating me, so you were getting me a meal, but I got the job and you didn't. As a consolation, let me get you your meal. And I let you do it.
I was just happy for you. I mean, that's one of the weird things. Again, like we've seen each other 3 times in 7 years. Like I just from the jump, I always liked you and I always rooted for you. And so in that moment, I was just genuinely excited for you, you know? And I think by that point, I was starting to come to the realization, like, it's not me versus anybody, you know? It's me.
You said that to me. I remember you said, I remember thinking like, wow, this guy must have been doing this a lot. Because for me, this is the one opportunity I've ever had. Let me, you know, I want this. And I got it and it was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. For you, it was like, yeah, I'll do something. You had this, I'll do something else energy. And it was really, I mean, you're obviously gorgeous, but it was like really an attractive, like, this guy's fucking cool. There was something about like, I don't know. It made me feel like, not in a bad way. It made me feel like this job is not that big of a deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm like, let him buy me the meal. We'll get some onion rings.
And we ate well. And then I drove myself to Carl's Jr. and cried while I ate 6 Western bacon burgers by myself.
Did you really go somewhere else after to eat? Do you remember that?
No, I didn't go to a second
Oh.
location. That was a genuine moment. But then I went and I saw you and Brent at a comedy club one night. I don't remember much from that night. Just that like you guys were funny. You were doing you again. Like it was, you were very unique. It was like I don't have a friend like this where I was simultaneously terrified and uncomfortable with what you were doing, yet very interested and excited by it.
It's kind of like how you described me in the test.
Yes, that's it's one of the reasons why I'm like fascinated by you. And I appreciate you. So I'm like, I see something that I'm terrified of doing, but that on the flip side, I'm like, I love that. Though.
That's nice.
And that was your set. You were just like, I watched you mess with the audience and sort of just try stuff out on the fly. And it may not always be because you just don't care and you're super brave, but that's what it looks like. It's kind of a devil may care. Like I skated as a kid, and the people who got skateboarded. And I remember having this moment where I realized, oh, I'm afraid of getting hurt. And my friends who don't care and are just trying stuff are getting way better faster. And I remember like watching you do comedy. I was like, that's so awesome. He's fearless about it, you know? But the third time we hung out, this is one of my favorite LA memories.
Is this at the soup place?
I thought it was a Fuddrucker. It was on Ventura again. I met you and Brent.
Yeah. Then
There's
no.
a Kookaroo. I mean, you know that shopping center at Laurel and Ventura.
Yeah, we the place. What has the place that has soup bowls?
Panera.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So it's one of those places. So we eat, and then afterwards we're like, let's go walk around a bit. And great. And so as we're walking down Ventura, we go into a Starbucks, and there's a very cute barista.
I don't remember any of this.
Okay. It would make sense why only I remember this. Very cute barista. I'm like, wow, she's stunning. Wow, okay, great. And
We'll put up her Instagram here.
yes. And we leave and we hit a couple shops. And as we're walking back, I was like, yeah, I gotta go say something. So I was like, hey guys, just give me a second. I gotta go talk to this girl really quick. And mind you also, like, we're not close friends, so there's still also that part of me like was like, I do want to talk to this girl, but also wouldn't it be cool if I got this chick's number in front of like my new friends, you know? And
yeah, wanting to impress the new friends.
100%, you know, because like also you guys are comics and that's cool, and I'm not from that world, but I like it.
Let me tell you already, when I'm with some guy who sees a pretty girl, we leave, and then he says, I'm gonna go talk to her. He's already the guy. That's already the coolest. You know what I mean? You know? I would have left and then searched that location, Starbucks, and see everybody who's been tagged in to see if I could find her, but so I can message her. You don't go up. If I miss my at-bat, I don't go back.
I went back.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I don't remember. But.
And it was, first of all, it was weird because I don't remember if I ordered a second drink or not, or if I was just the guy who floated up to the island and was like...
Did Brent and I walk in with you?
No.
So we waited outside?
I believe so.
Upon your request?
Don't recall that.
Okay.
And I went in and was like, hey, sorry to bother you, but like, do you have any plans for this weekend? And she's like making her broth and a drink and looks at me, like looks down, and she's like, now I'm thinking, here it comes. She's going to say whatever you and I are doing. And she looks at me and she's like, prom.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. She was in high school.
I was about 33 when this story happened, 31, I don't know. And she said prom. And what hurt the most was didn't even ask me if I wanted to go. But I realized like I'm a 31-year-old man and she might be 16, 17. And I remember I broke out laughing.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
she
this.
Didn't look.
They never do. Well, they always do.
By the way, there's never a right way. There is no right way to say she didn't look underage. You know, it's like there's no right way to smell your hand in public. You know, it's like there's no right way.
You can bite your fingernails.
But then you're putting a potentially smelly hand right up in your beak.
That's the cost.
Okay, fair. But she says prom. I break out hysterical laughing and went, okay, you have a wonderful time. And I laughed. I remember walking out to you guys and just laughing. And like, but in that moment also thinking that couldn't have gone any better.
Sure.
And I've never forgotten to this day.
If you're going to get turned down, let it be because she's 16.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let it be because I'm a monster. So that was the 3 times you and I have hung out in 7 years. Hence why I say like humility and laughter is the undercurrent in our relationship.
Yeah, I remember the end of that more. I remember Brent had left already, and we were just chilling outside at the soup bowl place for a while. And remember, that's when you were telling me about how you were fat as a kid. And since then, and I think of you whenever I see a funny, good-looking guy And I've noticed this. I know a lot of people, guys that are funny and hot, were fat as a kid. It's kind of, I mean, like, it's just a guess, but I've noticed that a few times. I always think of you. So whenever I watch the new Vacation movie with, what's Thor's name? The guy who plays Thor.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth?
Hemsworth. Have you seen the Vacation movie with Ed Helms? Came out a few years ago?
Yes.
The scene, Chris Hemsworth in that movie, the scene when he walks into their bedroom with his just his underpants and his six pack, and he puts his leg up, and his dick is huge, and he's like just looking around, and he's trying to fix the remote, and he puts it's just so broad and so funny, and I just like, how does somebody that looked like that? How is that? And I just always thought, was he? I would think of you. Was he like maybe fat as a kid? He probably wasn't. He doesn't look like he was fat.
Well, I mean, don't you feel like the most interesting people were not pretty as kids?
Yeah, I think that's
a sweeping
science.
generalization, but
No,
I do
I
feel
don't
like
think so.
that's pretty accurate. Some of the funniest, most interesting people I know weren't beautiful kids.
There has to be some sense of feeling of unsafety or trauma,
Yes.
or something to overcompensate for. And oftentimes, when you're good looking, things are, you don't have to fight for that attention. If you're good looking and you come from a traumatic childhood, then maybe there's something interesting. Not saying be beaten to be interesting, but generally speaking, good looking people, they're being applauded.
Yeah.
So they don't need to.
You get the award for showing up. Whereas, like you said, if you have, if there's, whether it's trauma or whether it's, like, for me, I realized I was afraid of getting picked on, so I realized I could befriend people in diffuse situations with sense of humor.
Was it always funny or was it nice? You're an overly nice person.
I think funny, but nice is in there as well. I feel like nice is more, I've always just kind of been that way, where funny was more of a tactic. Like, I remember, so my dad had a temper growing up, and
Is your dad still around?
Yes, he's still with us.
Doesn't have a temper anymore.
As soon as he retired, mellowed out.
And we're back.
It was genuinely an incredible example of, like, someone who hated their job and
What did he do?
was miserable. He worked for Southern California Edison, and it was just like brutal hours, and he just didn't like it. So he was miserable, and then he retired, started wearing tie-dye, and makes jewelry now. Happy as a clam. But as a kid, yeah, man, he had a temper.
Can we put a link up where your dad sells his jewelry?
I don't think he's in his 70s. He doesn't have a link to anything.
Okay.
But he talks about how he's going to have an Etsy store one day. So sure, people watching this in 10 years, maybe I've created it, but probably not.
Okay.
But yeah, so, you learn, like, first of all, you learn how to quickly take the temperature of a room, engage people's energies. And then quickly you learn, like, how do I diffuse a situation? And like laughter, humor.
Do you have brothers, sisters?
Older brother.
Did he diffuse situations?
No.
You were in charge of it.
Yeah, he was the first.
Was he a lot older?
7 years.
Yeah.
And psychologists say 6 years or more. Developmentally, you're considered an only child, and that felt like that until I was about 18, and then we kind of started to be able to, like, actually communicate and be peers. But so yeah, from an early age though, I learned, if I can make Dad laugh, or if I can create some laughter at the table, okay, we can all take a breath, And so I think from an early age, that sort of became it's sort of like, if I make the joke about myself first in the room, I steal it from everybody else. So it's also a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I find that a way of taking control.
Yeah.
Sometimes at your own detriment, because now you're assuming someone is going to be shitty, so you do it first.
Yes.
And if you, yeah.
And then the problem for me was that it became such a go-to, the self-deprecation, because I also thought, like, no one's threatened by someone who's playing small. So if I'm always shitting on myself, no one's ever going to, it's never going to intimidate. It's just always going to be agreeable. But the problem was, I realized that self-deprecation just turned into a lot of negative self-talk. And a lot of just, like, that was my rhetoric in my head, was like, you idiot, and it was always, and I eventually realized, like, whoa, it's all stick and no carrot, and I heard someone say this really great thing. They were saying, there is a, like an autopilot feature on airplanes, on commercial airlines, where if the plane, the pilot's he's flying and it veers a little left, it just gradually course corrects a little right, course corrects a little left, gets it back on track. The program never says, "Hey, you fucking moron, you're flying the wrong direction." It just does it. And I realized, like, oh yeah, I don't need to berate myself all the time. You know what I mean? Because it never makes me feel good, but it was just this learned, like an overdeveloped coping mechanism that I realized, like, oh, it no longer has its purpose. Like, it's not keeping me safe. It's just kind of hurting me.
Years ago, I heard someone say, talk to yourself the way you talk to your friends.
100%.
And it's like a literal implication
Yes.
I've used.
Yeah.
Implementation. I went to go get a glass of water, and I came back with my glass of water to see that I had a glass, not even a full glass of water, just a glass. I could have used. And I said, "You fucking idiot." And I said that, and I said, "Easy, bud." And then I had I had a conversation with myself in that moment alone as a joke, and it made me laugh doing that. And that's when hearing that piece of information and putting it into, like, actually utilizing it, and I now literally talk to myself like that. So I connect with you on that.
Do you find that, like, so you are in therapy, right?
Yeah.
Have you done like any inner child work?
Yeah.
Do you find, because this was my experience, I realized that I still view the world like from the eyes of that kid. Like I still, which is why, like, you even like going like, "You're handsome." Like there's a part of me that's like, that feels like a lie and it feels uncomfortable. Like I'm still like that awkward little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, do you find that? Do you have any of that?
So yes, everyone does and always will. I think it's just being able to separate the logical side from the emotional side of it, and recognizing that these are feelings I have, these are triggers that I have. But when you could actually see the perspective of how that isn't the case or is the case in certain situations, that it could control it. A great example that I could give you is when working with obsessive compulsive disorder, which I have, and sometimes it works better than others. But when you're not anxious and when things are, the skies are blue, I don't have to, Rick, you have to you have to wash your hands again. You have to turn the sink back on. You have to lock the door. You have to do whatever your ritual may be again. I know logically, it's locked, but it doesn't feel good. Mm-hmm. Something doesn't feel right, and I'll do it. I'll fix it. There's a few ways. One, logically, I know it's locked, but that doesn't matter because the logic is the kid and the emotion is the parent at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And the parent is in control. When the logic has more control, and there's a lot of ways to do that, either just through immersion and not touching it and making yourself anxious over and over again, or saying to yourself, yeah, but if I do check it, you're going to have to check it again. You're not going to satisfy it. Logically, at least admit to yourself, this is inefficient. Yeah. Finding little ways of seeing it a certain way. So the idea of seeing something as a kid and feeling a certain way, if I could logically explain to myself that isn't the case. This really helped me when going through a breakup. Years ago, I was going through a breakup, and I broke up with this person, and it was very hard for me. However long later, I got over it. I eventually started dating another person. We broke up, and I had a feeling. These two people were nothing alike. The feeling I had was the exact same feeling. And I realized, oh, this is a feeling that I have. Mm-hmm. Just that realization of knowing this is a feeling I have. It's not a feeling of loss. I didn't even, the second breakup, I didn't even cry. Like, it was completely different. Am I saying too many words right now? I'm starting to feel insecure.
No.
Realizing that the feelings I have I can't control them, kind of makes it easier to accept them and just know, like, this is the way this is just a feeling. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I said that as eloquently as I could have.
No, but I get that, and it's also, it's tough sometimes when a feeling is big and it feels like, I find something I do is I go like, oh shit, this is forever. Like this feeling's forever.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, like this last year where I was kind of spinning a bit going like, well, if I'm not does this mean I suck? Is this the end of it? Like and then going like, oh shit, is this forever? Is this feeling of kind of helplessness and being out of control? And is this it? Is this the new normal? As opposed to going like, it's a season. Like this will pass. Like feelings can be big, but like they're not forever. Okay, they're a visitor. Cool. You know, and it's ultimately like, and then coming back to that thing of like, I heard this great line, like, you know, in the end, you're going to be okay. So if you're not okay, it's not yet the end.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of remind myself that sometimes when I'm off, like if I'm not able to just like let something go, it's like, or figure it out, you know, it's like, okay, just, it'll work itself out. You know, it's not for me to handle. But I understand what you're saying about the breakup stuff, you know, and it's like, it's interesting when you realize like sometimes it's like, it's all about you. It's just your own stuff, you know, and it's almost like when you didn't have those distractions anymore of being in a relationship and it was still there, you're like, oh yeah, this is some Rick stuff.
Yeah. Well, one in particular, it was that the thing that those two people had in common was I liked the way that they saw me. So when I lost the way that they saw me, I was back to the way that I saw me, which I always was at, and I was not allowing myself to feel those things, and I was feeling it through them. And I realized, the problem isn't that I'm losing how they see me. The problem is that I don't see me the way that they saw me. And then you just have then you at least have, you may not have the answers yet, but you have new questions to ask, you know? But the idea of you seeing yourself, me saying you're good looking, or somebody saying you're good looking, and then you being like, no, how do you get to the point of where you're like, yes? And I don't just mean accepting that you're good looking. I mean not feeling insecure about it.
Well, sure, because that's the example we're giving, but it could be any nice thing you said. It's and I have to catch myself because for a while I was just going like,
no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the good-looking one I think is such a because you have to be told you're good-looking all the time. I mean, that's one that in this business is like a currency. You know, so it's one thing if, like I said, you're an amazing magician and nobody's seen you do magic in however many years. But if you're being told something constantly and every single time, at what point do you just be like, oh, maybe they think I am?
With that one, because like my wife will go like, hey, yes, like you look handsome, and I'll catch myself often just going like, hey, that's nice. She's like, I'm not being nice, you know, and like for that one, like she made the point where she's like, have you noticed there's a trend in the roles you've worked for like the last, like that's because it's not me fishing, you know, it's generally me just going like, I think people are being nice. My honest opinion is like, I think I'm an average looking guy, not bad looking, but I'm an average looking guy. So to accept it is just like, that's a nice thing to say. And yeah, I think because there's also there's this hesitancy in me that's like, because I used to be so negative, it's like the fear of like, I see how unattractive ego can be. And so not only do I not want to be that guy, but I'm also, because of that fear in me, that's also like, I don't want to push people away. You know, it's like, that seems dangerous as well, to be like, fuck yeah, I'm good look. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a gross look, man.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, but just even when you said, fuck you, I'm good looking, I was thinking like, yeah, tell him. Like, you know? Yeah. But I guess I hear what you're saying. When my girlfriend says that, I think that she believes that. You know, like when she says that I'm good looking, I think, I know you believe that, and I love that you think that, and I need you to think that. But also, what are you talking about? Yeah. You know what I mean? But we're in a different league. So I can't quite really. Girls don't do that. Girls say that they're not good looking, but I know they're saying that and not believing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Sure. Because when somebody says that I'm negative characteristic of their physical appearance and then posts the pictures that they post, obviously they like the way they look. But you don't post like hot guy pics. As a matter of fact, and I'll put it up here, you post, Yeah. I go the opposite way with it. Yeah. I guess that's good. I guess that works for you. It's it's a funny thing, man, because I'm really, that's one of the things that grosses me out about social media. Please, and I want, before we end this, I want you to finish talking about how your connection to social media and your self-worth when you weren't working. Yeah, well, because I just realized, like, what am I going to social media for? Like, am I going for a hit to see how many likes something got? And
And am I putting out stuff because I think it's going to get a good reaction, or because it's something I want to share? Like, who am I talking to?
Yeah, did you get an answer?
Not yet. Still no one. Or you mean what my relationship is with it?
Yeah. I'm saying, do you know what you're posting? Do you know what your intention is with social?
I'm still figuring it out. Like, I took a big step back from it, and I don't post.
Posting or looking?
Both. And well, because I also, part of it was like during this, that's what happened. Is you asked me to be on your podcast, right? And I genuinely I was leaving for a month, so I was like, hey, I'm heading out of town. Mm-hmm. But I was, as much as I wanted to talk to you, I was having this feeling where I was like, I looked at the people, your guests, and I was like, these are all people, big careers, working. Fuck, I don't have anything going on. And I really felt like I'm just going to be a dud guest. There's not going to be anything to talk about.
But if you were on a show,
100%,
it would be different, because we would talk about the makeup trailer and your acting lines.
Yes. And so I was, again, during this time on social media, being like, seeing my actor friends
that was
posting
back in July.
about jobs. Yes. So it was like kind of really just starting to like evaluate, like, oh shit, what's tied to this? But then also in just seeing like that so much of it is like a bullshit vanity project for people, you know? And it's like, it's really just, and I like the really flattering photo with the like, you know, breathe, believe, love. And you're like, it's fucking what? Or it's a Gandhi quote and you're like, you know, and it's like, just own it. How about you just say, I love this picture of me in a bikini. I look great, you know? And so because I see that, like, that's why I go the opposite way with it, where I'm like, it grosses me out to be like, I don't want to contribute to that. Cause I see the way, I just don't want to put stuff out there that's going to bum people out. Like, if anything, like if I can make someone laugh, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe it made someone chuckle, as opposed to like, am I just putting out there for people to go, oh, you look great? And it's like, the only end game is just for me to get a pat on the back.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be a good idea for you to actually find out what your audience is. I don't mean the demographics. I mean, like, what do you want? What are you saying? What do you want your audience? I know what for right or wrong. I'm doing this. I either am doing this to promote. With every post, it's either to promote something or to get a laugh. Mm-hmm. That's it. Now, promote something doesn't necessarily mean a project. It could be promoting, you know, how I was going to say how funny my mom is, but I guess that's still getting a laugh then. It's just like, it's business, watch this, or it's laughter. Mm-hmm. That's it. So I never think about, is this going to bum somebody out? I don't have that at all. I know why I'm posting it. Mm-hmm. So figure out a reason why you're posting.
And I'd say that's why I do the same thing. It's to laugh. It's to be silly. Like, silly is the brand. You know what I mean? Unless there is something to promote. It's like, sure, I'll put that up there too. I guess it's like, it just lately felt like a game I don't know if I really want to be a part of.
Does social media benefit you at all in your career?
Sure.
Well, you want to be a part of it then, right?
Well, then that's why. That's why I play the game and keep it active.
Yeah, but don't question it. You don't have to be like, do I want to be a part of this? It's so gross. It's like, you make your decision.
Well, the reason I'm questioning it is because there was a period of time where it wasn't making me feel good anymore. And I was being deliberate about what
wasn't making you feel good? What you were seeing?
The consumption of it, but then also the act of like deliberating, like, is this funny? Do I put this out?
You can't ask you ask one question. What am I putting out? Mm-hmm. I'm putting out stuff I'm promoting and being silly. You don't ever have to ask again. I mean, you could take either stance on this, but my opinion is social media helps your career.
Yeah.
So it's over. It's done. You do it. It's a job.
Yeah.
Do it. Putting your identity of this is like it's not it could be, but it's not always content creation. It's a website, mm-hmm. and the people a shocking amount of people send me pictures of themselves and ask me to help them punch up their caption. Like,
really?
And I'm not I don't think it's because I'm a good caption writer. I think it's because most of these people are not comedians and they think it needs to be funny and they want to make it funny. I don't know their voice. I would post it the way I would. They're trying to control the way they're doing it. Just put your fucking shit out there, mm-hmm. have your website and relax.
Yeah. Stop being precious with it.
And if you look good with your shirt off or a suit that's tight and you look like Superman what's his name? Henry
Cavill?
Yeah, I mean, come on, Jesus. We'll do a side by side. And then it's like, put the fucking thing on and say, I'm fucking Superman, guys. And then you put it away. Mm-hmm. I think that by going on it's so easy to look at people's social and be like, ugh, because it is. It's all ugh. But then to like overcompensate and try to not be that thing, now you're also not being the easy thing that you want to be because you're trying to differentiate you from them.
True. I think this is also another facet of it, is that for pretty much my entire career, I've been the love interest, sort of like the shirtless guy often, right? And at a certain point, you kind of get to decide what image you want to put out there, right?
Yeah.
And I really want to go into comedy. I really want to like start playing in that world.
Yep.
And I realized, okay, well, I have a say in that by, in this case, choosing what I choose to put out there.
Yeah.
Like there was like a great shoot, or a great picture from the shoot I did, and I was like, oh, it's great.
Will you send it to me so I could put it up here?
No.
Really?
But I'll show it to you privately.
You won't let me just put it up here?
No.
What if I Photoshop a mustache onto you so it's goofy?
Maybe.
We'll
Maybe
see.
so. Maybe so.
Okay.
Stay tuned. All two people who are still listening, your mom and your grandma. Yeah, and it was just sort of like, it's a cool photo. It's an artsy photo, but it was like a shirtless photo. I was like, yeah, but I just want to try. I want to try to go a different way, and part of that is on me saying, because the industry is not creative. It sort of replicates what it's seen.
I don't know. I think you guys are creative.
Oh yeah, love your work, everyone. No, you know what I mean. But it was sort of like, oh, if I have a say in this, then
Yeah.
as opposed to putting up just like handsome photos and shirtless shit, how about I just show
Control
that
your
actually
brand.
like, yeah, control the brand.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, terrible.
So many of the comedy roles, take away the jobs that are the roles are filled by people who either wrote, directed, or produced that content. So we're just talking about when people are cast into jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they hire hot guys to play funny people. That's where the jobs go. So many times that's where the jobs go.
Really?
Zac Efron said, I remember he did a thing where he didn't want to take his shirt off for things because same exact thing that you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
No, you take your shirt off, you do Baywatch. He's doing Neighbors. He's doing comedy. It's fine. He's doing that what's the movie with Miles Teller, him, and Michael B. Jordan?
Oh yeah, where like he's going through a breakup. They're all going through breakups.
Yeah. And it's a comedy. They just get, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. Couple of
Who's
tens.
great. We're going to have him on the podcast soon. But the thing is, he's as funny as he could act. He's not a comedian, right? But he's getting those roles because people want to look at him. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get more roles by not posting good-looking pics. If you put on 30 pounds of not muscle, maybe something will change. But if instead of doing this, you post this, people aren't going to be like, we got to get him in to play the fucking friend in a movie about ugly guys. You're a hot guy. Game over. Game over.
That face was lightning in a bottle.
Thank you. And that's a skill set that I have. I could go between a 7 and a 9. You could go between a 9 and a 10. That's it.
Wow.
And when I say 9, I know what you're thinking. So I'm not going to tell you. But, when I'm in shape, it looks good.
You, my friend, this is the part of the show. Let's just devolve into gratuitous compliments. You are a 9 on a bad day.
No. Thank you. Thank you for thinking that. I'm sorry about you having troubles cutting yourselves. And I don't want to make jokes about that, but I do think it's important to acknowledge that some people are bad at it.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah.
I already did it,
Yeah, it was on you.
You do. I feel like you have 4 minutes of fun content.
You're talking about this podcast?
Yeah, and about 45 minutes of fun therapy talk.
Okay.
So how much usable content are you going to get out of this?
Okay, so I have tried to stop telling my guests, this is bad. Mm-hmm. Because 90% of these podcasts, halfway through, I got to put the AC on, and I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Okay? What I learned was 90% of those I feel that way, only half of them, when I'm done editing them, do I feel that way. And then afterwards, people are nice. And here's what I realized. Podcasts are not our specials that we've been carving out and trying to make, this is the best piece of content. They are just conversations with people that suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have never had somebody opposite me do to me what I was doing to them. And I got to tell you something.
How does it feel?
It feels fantastic. And that's why most of this stuff you can only get at Patreon, at Rick Glassman, at Patreon.
Become a platinum member today.
Where we will also be showing some of your father's Etsy's jewelry.
Yes.
But are you saying that because you're feeling insecure that it's not funny, or are you saying that the conversation is who cares? Because I don't know. This might be a bad episode. I don't know.
Neither. I feel like it's an interesting conversation if you're interested in like the talk of therapy.
So when I do an intro for this at the beginning, to let people know if this is for you, you should watch it. If it's not, you should go and watch, that thing you do.
Great movie.
So good. Hilarious movie. Mm-hmm. How should I set this up?
You know what this feels like?
Tell me.
It's like if you had gone into that first screen test, but instead of wanting to introduce your parents to everyone in the room, you just wanted to talk to them about how their weekend was.
That's the meanest thing anyone's ever said to me.
How do you figure?
I will never go into a room and have a conversation about how their weekend was unless there's something specific to talk about.
You know what, though? But that's what a podcast is. You're right. It's just a conversation, And you guys, I'm not responsible for your entertainment. I'm just here to talk to my buddy Rick, catching up for 7 years of lost times. And if you don't like it, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I do want to touch on the not liking it thing and the Patreon and the asking for money and blah, 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 because this podcast that I've been doing now for 7 or 8 months has consumed my life. Literally, I'm spending some weeks over 40 hours on editing, recording, and moving, and doing, and learning, and blah, 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 blah. And that isn't just a busy week. This is a full-time job for me. I've recently gotten some editing help, and things have been going smoother. But last night, I finished working on the episode that came out today at a little after 2 a.m. I woke up at 10. I finished. When you walked in, you saw the computers on. I had just finished, and now you're here. When you're done, I'm going to dump, I'm going to edit, and blah, 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 blah. It takes forever. I am burning through money, okay? I'm not making any money. I'm buying new hard drives because everything needs to be in 4K. I have 9 cameras for no reason. And why am I doing this? And that's why I was thinking the Patreon, like, why do I feel so weird saying, hey, if you want something else, it's like, the weird feeling is saying, hey, give me $5 and I'll give you some more stuff. That's the weird feeling.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm figuring out if I feel this way is, hey, I'm doing some work. If anyone wants to check it out, it's $5. I'm spending all my, it's $5 or whatever. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards that one. I think there's something too, because this content is free. You're coming over, all you knew was it's going to be on camera. So you dress something that you were okay being on camera with. It's like, why do we feel that we need to, who gives a fuck? Does that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not a rhetorical question. Like, this is not even the Patreon stuff. This is, hey man, you want to listen to something? Okay.
Yeah.
Why? I would love to hear your answer because I also feel that way.
Yeah, well, and I think the way you reframed the relationship with the Patreon, as opposed to like, hey, give me some money, versus saying like, hey, I'm working hard. If you want to support, it would be appreciated.
Right.
Totally get that. And you're right, 40 hours a week, that's bonkers. So yeah, if you want to have some extra fun little side content for the people who are doing it, that's great.
And by the way, that money would be paying a person to edit the content.
Yes.
It's just literally to make it happen.
Yes. And also with the who gives a fuck thing, completely agree. Because you're right. Like I've listened to a couple of the episodes, and I picked the ones of people I was interested in hearing about.
But always for a podcast.
So like you and Bobby Lee were a fucking mess all over the place, but I enjoyed it.
Sure.
Because I just wanted to hear the repartee. I wanted, you know what I mean? Like it didn't need to be anything. It was just two people I was interested in hearing a conversation.
Yeah.
But like that's that's such a great like thing to come back to, which is like, am I taking myself too seriously? Who gives a fuck? You know, and also like that whole perfectionism thing. Like, I just want it to be perfect. I just want it to be good. And it's like, fucking relax.
Well, that's another thing. The wanting it to be perfect, you're not.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm not either, I guess.
Right.
So
no one is, and nothing is.
So when I'm putting out an episode of a podcast and I'm watching it like, and this is something that I'm actively going through right now, and because it's tough. One of the main reasons I'm needing the editing help isn't just the time, because I'm not working. It's watching it.
Yeah.
You want to feel good about yourself. Stop looking in the mirror. You know what I mean? So it's just, but it's like, if I'm not being funny, I'm talking too much, I'm annoying, I didn't let the other person speak. Learn that, try to get better at it, but that's literally what I am right now. It's what I'm supposed to be. That's what this podcast is me now, not this podcast isn't me next June. Oh, okay. So that's kind of the mentality I've been having. And then you come in here and say, only your mom and your grandma's watching this, which, by the way, my grandma, though she was a guest on an episode, never watches.
Rude.
She's a little, I don't want to. You know, she's a little snobby sometimes.
Okay. Noted.
I love you, Grandma, if you're watching this. But
It didn't say they're the only ones watching, saying they were the only ones commenting.
No, you said at this point, only 2 people are still watching, your mom and your grandma.
Play the clip. All 2 people who are still listening, your mom and your grandma. You're right. My bad.
You knew that clip was that. Did you remember upon the snap what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I can't get over, though. I've accepted.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Rick, you're shouting.
One thing. Oh, thank you.
Still there.
Yeah. I didn't have the headphones on before. I may have accepted a lot of this stuff is going to be who cares, but it still makes me hot.
Emotionally or physically?
Physically.
Okay.
I'm hot.
Yeah. Well, you are wearing a sweater and pants and socks. It's a lot of clothing.
You're wearing the same amount of layers.
Yeah, but you know, my doctor said that due to my dangerously low body fat percentage, I'm susceptible to temperatures.
See, this is the hot guy stuff I want to hear more of. How low's your body fat?
I don't want to say it's 3.4. No, I'm kidding. It's not. I don't know.
What are you, at 5?
I have no. No, bodybuilders aren't at 5.
I'm at 5.
Is it the fit tee you're always peddling on Instagram?
Yes. When when I'm working out, I'm normally around 8.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I will say this though, you got shredded for a while when you were posting a lot of like flexy photos. I was like, Rick getting real Wolverine with it.
Thank you.
You and your buddy John got very strong as well.
He's still working out, so he still looks great.
Shout out to John and that hot bod.
Yep.
Is that John DeWalt?
Oh yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah.
How do you know that?
Funny guy. I follow you on Instagram, man.
Have you ever met John?
Nope.
I like that.
He's a funny dude.
So I'm going to ask the people at home.
Okay. Let's do some non-therapy talk. Let's give people an entry point. Ask people at home.
The process of this podcast, I hand it over to George. George does what we call an audio edit. He goes through and he just takes out certain parts. Mm-hmm. A lot of times he doesn't take out anything. Sometimes he takes out a lot. So I don't know what's going to be in this podcast, but I'm sure a lot of it is it's all the same. Mm-hmm. It's just us complaining about each other and how we're doing. And then every now and then saying, you're hot, you're hot, you're hot. Yeah. We're no good, you're hot, you're hot, you're hot. So whatever's in there, there's going to be at least some stuff of us talking about who cares, this isn't good, it is good, this is what it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. Leave some comments that are not this sucks or this is hilarious, right? Mm-hmm. Leave some comments of saying what you liked or didn't like and why.
Or what if we just go a totally different direction with it? It'd be really great if you drop this episode and it's me coming in and sitting down and you framing up and me being like, I'm happy to be here. And then it's just like 3 quick cuts of me complimenting you. And then it's me going, this has been great, man, thanks.
Okay.
And walking out. I wouldn't be offended because you know what? You and I have still had this really nice time.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll put up both episodes. I'm going to make that one, and maybe I'll put that out first.
Okay, put up the Rick Glassman cut.
It'll be you walking in, a couple of quick compliments back and forth. I'll probably have to put some of me saying you're hot in there too, because just by design, if I edited it, it makes me look bad to only edit compliments for me. So by me giving you compliments, it actually compliments me even better. Make sense?
Yeah.
Great. And then I will post that. And then if you guys want to see the full episode, you could head on over to Patreon.
Yes. Can I make a request, George, when you do cut this? Include the part when he said it's like when someone says, I haven't had sex in 3 weeks, but cut it at just, I haven't had sex in 3 weeks, and snip it there so that all we hear is Rick going, I haven't had sex in 3 weeks. And then cut to the story about me asking a high school girl out on a date. What's wrong with that?
It's just that's the wrong instinct. Because what is I mean?
I didn't come on your show to not direct the episode, Rick. I didn't drive 2.3 miles from North Hollywood.
You live in North Hollywood?
7-minute drive from my house.
You live in North Hollywood?
Yes, sir.
We have to have you back, and we could talk about the test at Warner Brothers.
That was such a good story we never got to.
We did get to it.
Did we?
We did.
How long have I been here?
Well, I don't want to give an answer because then people will know how much we cut. But I'll say
this has been the best.
It's been roughly
12
4
minutes.
hours. Oh, same joke, but the opposite direction. Dude, I'm starting to now feel. This is not your fault. This is mine. I'm starting to now feel insecure about it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why? What's your fear?
What I want from this podcast on a week to week is for the guest to be happy that they came over and to want to share this. I don't mean want to share this as far as like putting on a social. I mean even like showing somebody that like you're proud of doing this thing. You think, hey, this was a fun podcast. I want to do it again. I liked it. It looks good. So that.
All right. Well, if that is your sole goal, you succeeded. Because
It's not my sole goal.
Well, that's all you said. So I'm going off that. I had a great time.
Okay.
I'm happy with whatever you want to put out there.
Okay.
It was fun. It's going to be a terrible episode. But selfishly, my sole goal was to enjoy myself and to get to see you. And that mission accomplished.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Take Your Shoes Off podcast. And if this is not you watching the whole episode and this is a promo that you're seeing, should I watch this episode? You've been warned. He had a great time, but it was, what'd you say? Not good.
It's going to be a terrible episode.
My name is Rick Glassman. This is Robert Buckley. And we're going to do it again now.
Ready?
You want to do another one?
From the top.
Do you want to do another one?
You want to?
All right, yeah.
Scoot doo.
That'll be music. Dude. This podcast is so draining.
I bet.
It's so taxing, dude. I've literally tried and made a concerted effort to not address my feelings toward the podcast because either on how it's going or how much time I'm spending on it and I'm resenting it. There's been, in the past few episodes, been certain moments where I've made a rule for myself and I've checked it. I felt something and I swallowed it. You know, and I didn't acknowledge something.
Well, and that makes sense. Like I realized this actually only when I started listening to your podcast that I think so I was actually thinking about being a guest on it, you know what I mean? Sort of just being like, all right, what's the shape of this podcast? But the marketplace is so saturated now that there's literally any kind of story you want, it's there. Which means people who I think are listening to your podcast.
So I turned off the microphone because we were done, but then I turned it back on because I was liking what we were saying. I wasn't sure if I was going to post it, but after sharing it with a few people, they told me it was really, really good. Part 2 is a completely different vibe than any of my other podcasts. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So check it out and fucking subscribe, okay?